Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's fast, it's ferocious, it is Phillip Island. Third round of the championship, the Australian Grand Prix, and it's one which, for many who follow the two-wheeled format of fast racing, know how quick this track is. For those who follow it on four, especially with iRacing, this is a place when the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series came here, amazing racing was never a million miles away. It's a long old race, 69 laps worth of racing action here today on a 4.44 kilometer circuit here with SimSpeed TV. But the iRacing Grand Prix Tour looks to continue its start into the season before we get ourselves our month's break before the fourth round of the championship. I'm Jake Sperry, Jay Kennedy, alongside me then for the ride here this evening, this morning, wherever you are around the world. But this is a circuit you absolutely have to be on top of your game. 100%. We'll take our Google Earth look down at where our circuit is. And Jay, you could say that in terms of where we base ourselves today, 3 circuits in the space of about 50 miles of each other. Sandown, of course, Albert Park, where the Grand Prix will be this weekend. And then, of course, what we've got today, the Phillip Island circuit, right on the coast. And when I say right on the coast, you see where turn 3 is? That's right on the coast.
Yeah, it is right on the coast. You get the very, very cold breezes blowing straight off Antarctica, straight down the front straight. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. Phillip Island. I guess this is my home race. I've never actually been to Phillip Island, despite the fact I live not that far away from it. But it's a fantastic track and synonymous around the world, mainly for two-wheeled action. But whenever we see four-wheeled action here in real life and in sim, we know we're going to have a brilliant show. The past Formula-style cars around this place have provided some of the best and most memorable moments in these style of cars history within the iRacing service. So this is going to be a brilliant race today. First time calling Formula cars at this track. It's going to be a new experience for me, but I've definitely watched a lot in the past, and I know you have been a part of some of the most memorable moments of this circuit's history.
I love this track. I'm sure that it's going to bring out some amazing racing here today, and these drivers are going to be alert with what they have to deal with here. They know as well that they will have to make a pit stop over the course of the racing action, and you watch out for the likes of Stoner Corner. Miller Corner, turn 4 is going to be one of the key places to make a move. So too into the southern loop at turn 2, and then MG, turn 10, over the top of Lukey Heights. You definitely have a chance to make the pass there. Expect a fair lot of trimmed out setups as well, looking to maximize top speed, because this is a very, very quick track. So the 8 minutes, 2 laps we're in right now, we're down to the final 2.25 minutes of that, but it is a 306 kilometer race, 69 laps. They must stop for tires at some stage during the race, and they must use 2 tires worth of compounds. We've got softs, mediums, and hards today for drivers to go and work with. And as such, if they can work and manage with what they've got available, then this is going to be a very, very important strategic battle that they have. Nick Burke on screen making a drive towards the line in Alpine colours there, trying to get everything sorted. A 106.9 is the time there for Nick, which is good enough for 20th fastest, short by 1,000th overall. Thomas Veek also looking to make a drive over towards the line. And what can the Dane do over the line? That is going to be no time. So that is pretty much that. Nobody else out there at the moment, Jay, on a lap. Ben Fuller is the only one who can improve and doesn't necessarily need to. He's clear by almost 2/10.
Yeah, I don't think he is too stressed about going any faster. He might just practice a pit entry here on his way in. So we'll see what he does do on this lap. Looking very, very strong though, isn't he? He's looking very, very good. His pace is very good. See what he can do when it comes around to race time in only a minute's time.
It's one of the toughest pit entries, I think, in the world. So just keep that in mind when we get to the pit stop windows. But with the grid pretty much sorted, we'll have an opportunity to take a look at the starting grid, see how everyone will stack up for today's action then around this beautiful Phillip Island circuit. No surprises for who is on the front. Car number 1, 9,000 iRacing, one of the fastest open-wheel drivers in the world of sim racing today. It's Ben Fuller from Club Indiana. Will have, though, Jordan Gronkowski alongside for company, who has been incredibly quick this season. Darren Parker, second last time out. He'll go from third on the grid, and we'll have Marcel Fassbender for a little bit of company then on the front, or on the second row, sorry. Then in 5th and 6th, it's James Dempster and Danilo Sanfilippo looking to try and recover after retirement last time out. Northern Motta and Fabrice Bernier make up the 4th row of the grid. It'll be Jorge Almanza who will start then in 9th position. Connor Pooler, car number 21, will go from 10th. And then on row 6, surprised to see Anthony Catt down the order in 11th, but we'll have Paul O'Regan for company then in 12th place. Thomas Hinds will go 13th alongside Walter Lux. His car number matches his grid position there of 14th overall. Tobias Saal then will join Ken Nielsen, who have a bit of work to do from 16th position. So too will the drivers 17th and 18th, Thomas Veek and Brice Simeon will be the next 2 drivers, and they are just outside, or Brice Simeon is the first driver outside of the 1 second bracket. You follow that with Ray Graffoen, who is there in the 19th position. We'll have Nick Burke for company, leaving the last 3 drivers then on the grid. First up will be Easton Chiapalone, along with Jason Green, and rounding out the grid, car number 23 will be Paul Hadley, down there at the back of the pack. So we'll have a little bit of work to go through to get forward. But these drivers have 2 minutes to grid themselves up on the starting grid, or they will start from pit lane. And I have to say, there is a big mix of tyres out there. Some are going for the soft, some are going for the medium. So most of them are going for the hard compound tyre, though, out there on track today. So expect to see a bit of a mix in terms of what drivers want in terms of strategy, as the last of the drivers then will look to put themselves up on the grid and get themselves ready for action. You can see the likes of Danilo Sanfilippo, I think, is one of the key drivers today. He's on the Redwood soft tyre, so he's looking for a quick start then here around this circuit. We take a look from the nose cam. That's his view. It's an uphill start, so he'll have a lot of work to do to try and drive through. There is Ben Fuller at the front, but let's get ourselves ready. Lights on as 69 laps of Phillip Island. Round 3 gets itself underway right now, and it looks like it's a pretty decent start there for Ben Fuller. Shocker from the second row from Darren Parker. He absolutely gets bogged down. He's going to lose about 8 positions as they run towards turn number 1 for the first time. Fuller, Gronkowski, Parker as they go through. Middle of the pack looking fantastic then as they run into the southern loop then for the very first time. Everyone tiptoeing, making sure that they don't trip over each other in the early stages. Northern Motta losing out to Fabrice Bernier then off the start, but ultimately it's all about who lost more rather than who won. Into Miller corner for the first time.
Yeah, horrible start from Darren Parker. He's dropped way back from where he started, an incident at the back. Nick Burke and Kent Nielsen, I think, both are around, but looks like they're going to continue on, which is good to see. Tobias Saal also started from pit lane, but other than that, we've got through A-OK, but a little bit of too wide, which they want to sort themselves out very quickly.
Yeah, they will want to sort themselves out and get themselves into a rhythm early on over the top of Lukey Heights. This is the most ferocious left-hand corner out there in Australian sim racing before you dive down the hill for MG, which makes it difficult on board, trying to go around the outside with Thomas Veek, and there's a big junk up in front there. So troubles for Thomas Hinds and Connor Pooler getting caught up then in the early stages, and that was all down to Connor Pooler just losing the back end out on track. So dramas early for Pooler will certainly not help the rear tyres out as through goes Ken Nielsen then to take place, but one very hectic lap complete, and here comes Marcel Fassbender.
Well, Fassbender actually just lost that spot to Gronkowski. The Gronkowski's just got through. So side by side through Southern Loop, and comes, is that Walter Lux in the background there, coming through up the inside, just gets past Thomas Vick. So, wow, hey, what an action-packed start of the race. We'll try and get some replays soon, but how do we cut away from this when we're still seeing side by side after the lap and a half?
Yeah, Jorge Almanza just about holding the station. Lux now will look behind at Thomas Vick and Easton Chiapolone there, who are both there trying to get themselves into position, but Lux will hold station up over the top of the hill and descending back down it. Ben Fuller, by the way, on the soft compound tyre, Gronkowski and Fassbender on the white-walled hard, and it shows that after just a couple of laps worth of racing, Ben Fuller, a 1:08 flat, is a second and a half a lap faster, but look behind because Danilo Sanfilippo has got a turn of cadence here on the soft tyre. He's trying to make this work early, and if he can manage to make this work early, he is going to be able to challenge the likes of Fassbender and Gronkowski at least over the opening few laps.
Yeah, and I think it's important for Sanfilippo to make as many moves as he can while he's got the fresh tyre advantage. Let's notice that Walter Lux has got through on Vick, and Almanza's dropped 2 positions as Hadley up the inside, not quite able to get through. Sorry, that's Chiapolone on the inside, and Hadley was defending the position. So this is an interesting little battle pack here. Just goes from 10th all the way back to 16th and 17th or so.
We argue it goes back to 20th with Thomas Hinds, because that group is all there up the top of the hill, then through Lukey Heights. Watch out for the wind conditions here today. Look at that battle for 10th, it's all there, but the wind is 20 kilometers an hour gusting from the west. That's going to be causing drivers havoc over the hill.
Sure is. Sure is. Have a look at this though. Sanfilippo, the RS Open. Not able to gain enough time though to get that position. I think DRS is going to play havoc in this group, though, as we're nearly seeing 3 wide down the front straight.
Oh. We almost saw the move as well for third as well, because Marcel Fassbender ran a little bit wide. Now here comes the chance to dive to the inside at Miller Corner to make the move. Have you got drive off the exit? Yes, but can't get the power down as needed, so Siberia doesn't become the easiest place to make the pass, and as such, it is going to be Danilo Sanfilippo waiting behind again. Marcel Fassbender, though, may have just put himself out of range. A little searches more into Siberia as Jason Green dispatches it to Tobias Saal. Then for move, he's lost the place to Brice Simeon and Thomas Hinds as well. So those 2 drivers have found a way through and gained an extra position.
Only 2 drivers starting on the mediums, which is surprising to me. It's looks like everyone's either going soft or hard, and we'll probably see that when we get time for the pit stops. We haven't been given too much info this week, which in a way I like, but in another way I don't. I'd like to know a little bit about what's going on, but at least pretend then that we don't know what's happening. But this week we have been kept out of the loop, so everything is going to be a shock to us today.
Oh, speaking of which, Anthony Catt is an interesting look at this moment in time. Had a search up the inside, but Fabrice Bernier, then, who is on the hard tyre, who's got so much grip through the southern loop, and he thought about a move to the inside, and now he has to commit to it. Oh my word, what a pass from Fabrice Bernier. We'll have to get a second look at that, because James Debster didn't know what was coming on, neither did Fabrice.
Yeah, I don't think that was a planned overtake there. That was oops, hang on, I've gone way too deep. I'm just going to have to send it to make sure I don't make contact, and somehow it actually worked. So, brilliant job to make that. I don't think we can call it an overtake. That mistake turned it into a positive. That was brilliant.
Absolutely, and that's what you sometimes have to do. You're going to have to be brave, and Bernier was, knowing he had to go later on the brakes, and he got the move sorted fantastically. Here's a look at this. We'll take it all the way here to turn 4. Car on the inside. He thought about going to the inside, then had to check up, and by the time he realised he'd missed his braking point by a good 15 metres, he had to go back to the inside, but it doesn't matter too much now because Bernier's lost those 2 positions again to Debster and Catt, and it makes me think that Fabrice Bernier's got a higher downforce setup than those other drivers around, because look at how he can stick it through the corner.
Yeah, he's losing so much ground on the front straights. I mean, he's gaining all the spots back, but by the time they get to the start line, he's lost half of those positions again. So I still don't know how that didn't end up with a locked tyre, firstly, an incident, a spin, or a big crash with 4 cars involved. We got through it, and he made what looked like one of the best overtakes we'll see. And I don't know if we'll beat that overtake.
I'm not sure we will either, so this becomes a really crucial point of contention. We're not going to see whether that goes through. Now, Ben Fuller's already going to put a lap here on Kent Nielsen, and look at that gap. We're on to lap 7, and that lead margin is nearing 10 seconds at this point, which is opening up Ben Fuller here, I would say, by starting on the soft tyre to a 2-stop strategy as Marcel Fassbender makes the pass on Jordan Gronkowski. A little search from Danilo Sanfilippo through turn 1. Isn't going to quite get there at turn 2. Isn't going to get there either through the southern loop, but oh no, that's not... Straight on, this is going to be a very awkward rejoin for Bernier, and he managed it, and Thomas Veek just slides through on the inside. What a start he's had, 17th now up to 9th.
Wow, how did that not end in tears? And again, that's come from Bernier's lack of straight line speed. So he, down the front straight, gets overtaken by 2 cars right at the braking zone. End up in the dirt trying to get past, and then just it's a little bit washed up with a bit of bad aero there. And, oh, that's beautiful from Rosvik to make sure there wasn't contact.
You have to be brave. And speaking of brave, Danilo Sanfilippo is now up into 3rd position. He has made the pass now on Jordan Gronkowski, who now drops into 4th overall at the end of lap 7, and it becomes now a case to charge. So this is the move that got it done into turn 4 at the Miller corner. And, well, it's the sort of corner where you expect to find those passes. He gets alongside up the inside, and there's not really much space for Jordan Gronkowski to go except backwards. Pat continues, though, here as they drive through. This is Dempster, Motta, and Darren Parker in 8th position, looking to get some good drive. Oh, there goes Parker. Parker's gone straight off.
Hey, what? That's commentator's curse there. He just said he was looking to get good drive and had no drive. So you've done very well there, but unfortunate for Parker, he's the one that's lost out. I was about to say that there's a great pack brewing between Chiapolo and Almanza, Lux, O'Regan, and Hinds as well. This battle for 11th on back is getting quite heated too.
It is, and this is important because these drivers right now sit around 20 to 22 seconds off the pace. So if any drivers were looking to come into the pits from the race lead, for example, they would come out right in the middle of this pack, which would be the last place you want to see it. So here's another look. He's just going to run a little bit wide, tyres in the grass, and the car's just not going to have enough grip on the right side tyre, so it's just going to find itself getting more grip on the left-hand side, and as such, throws the car through. Danilo Sanfilippo now round the outside of turn 2, gets the pass done, up into 2nd position, now can freely use the soft compound tyres.
Yeah, and his only issue now that he's free is that he's got a almost 12-second margin behind to Ben Fuller. That's an incredible margin that Ben Fuller's pulled out in 9 laps, 8.5 laps of racing. It's such a big margin. I mean, it's able to be brought back, but it's going to be such a difficult job for him to pull any of that margin back.
Well, you've got to pay the price later, I think, is going to be the
true.
key, because he'll have to go on to a harder compounder tyre. I'm not sure how quick he's going to go, but it's going to be a we'll-see scenario out there in terms of this race. There he is out at the front of the field, and by comparison, his lead over Danilo Sanfilippo right now is 1 Gardner straight.
The 1 Gardner straight plus, isn't it? We didn't even see Danilo at the back of that shot, so incredible margin, but last lap by, almost identical lap time now that Danilo's got fresh air, so this is going to be interesting now. Danilo's through completely. What can he do in comparison to lap times? Will we start to see him push that gap down? And it is actually dropping by a couple of hundredths. Not enough yet, but you know that's a positive sign for him that he's gaining some sort of inroad.
That lockup wouldn't have helped, though, through turn 4, so that would be a couple tenths he'll give back in terms of what he's looking for in this race. You look behind then in 5th position, Anthony Catt on the mediums. Now, he won't as quickly catch up to the back of the likes of Gronkowski and Fassbender, but if he can manage these medium compound tyres, he could turn himself into a one-stop strategy, or he could be very aggressive on those mediums and go something maybe medium soft, or medium soft to give himself a real opportunity for an aggressive race.
Yeah, very, very... I mean, the fact that he's gone medium to start with does give him options, and I think that's the thing that when you're unsure, you start the medium and then you can go whichever way you need to. Obviously, starting on a soft, starting on a hard, it locks you into much fewer options. So I guess that's a positive he can take away, and you know, now he knows that he's got something he can try and do. Seen a little moment at the back of the field here. A very, very good save from Jason Green at Siberia.
Well, it's one of the fastest places on the circuit, Siberia, and as you go through, you're trying to get power, Oh, he's a lucky boy, isn't he, there? The back completely tipping around, but able to save it. Look at this group behind, though. I saw it just in the front of shot, just before we went there. Big check-up from James Dempster. Had to get on both binders there to get that one stopped, for fear of running into the back of North and Motta. This is an important group now. You've got 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and they are all trying to get as much of this early stint sorted here on lap 11, down the hill at MG. And you don't want to be at the front at Phillip Island, because it means that you're the one having to do all the donkey work, all of the pushing through the air. But the good news for Northern Motta is he's given himself half a second coming out of MG, and now he's got a chance to effectively be safe heading to turn 1.
You say that, but we've seen how much that the draft is helping those that have the lower downforce settings as a comparison to the high downforce. I mean, he had half a second and it cut down to, what, 1.5 car lengths by the end of the straight. So half a second's not enough maybe to keep your lead at the end of Gardner Straight. It's going to be interesting to see when we get later on in the race, when drivers get more aggressive, how much of a gap you do need to make sure you maintain your position into turn 1.
On the brakes then, through the Miller corner, over towards Siberia. A little look too deep, though. Here's the look, and off goes Thomas Hinds, and it'll be a very awkward flick spin to get that one back sorted again, and he'll manage it, so he'll be able to rejoin on circuit and continue on his race. He was trying to get the pass done on Walter Lux, and Walter Lux had a great race last time out, Jay, when it came to VIR.
He definitely did. It was probably man of the match, wasn't he? He drove brilliantly, so he'll be hoping he can have another performance of gaining positions. Currently, just the one, and Chiapolone, our biggest mover through the field at the moment. He's up 9 positions. Actually, I'll take that back. Paul Hadley's our biggest mover. He started last and he's into 10th.
Up 13 spaces and could easily get more, could Paul Hadley in the number 23. Driving around, he's on the red soft compound tyre, so that might be an indication of why he has gained so many places in this race, and it gives him a chance now to really settle in, try and get himself through. There is that time where the soft tyre will equalise compared to the likes of a yellow wall medium or a white walled hard tyre, but he's not really hit that point just yet, and he's just on the back of Bernier, Veek, Dempster, Motta. This is the sort of group that Paul Hadley will be looking at going, this is probably as good as I was hoping for off of the start of this race, to be up there racing with these drivers.
And if he's, can just sit behind these guys for a couple of laps and conserve tyres, he might be able to, get 5 extra laps, 4 extra laps out of this in comparison to the other soft tyre runners. That then opens him up strategy-wise for something surprising or something that might catch someone else off guard later on in the race. So he's doing very, very nicely at the moment. So look to see where he ends up at the end of the race. I think it's going to be a very, very good result for him.
I am finding it interesting. Top speed. So Fabrice Bernier is hitting 326 in the draft on the front stretch. Thomas Veek just in front, stopping out at 325 and a little bit slower. So I think they're on a similar strategy in terms of how much pace they've got out there. Veek was even lifting off a little bit, and you'll notice as well on the back of some of these cars, there's a little bit of a wider line he's taken there by Northern Motta using all of the road, is that you'll see the red light, the rain light, blinking on the back of the car. It's not to indicate that it's raining, of course, though we keep on saying soon with rain, everyone keeps going through. It's more to do with the energy charge, Jay.
Yeah, it's when the battery's recharging. It's cool to watch the light flashing, and I can tell you from personal experience, they are very, very bright in real life. So don't look directly at the light. You can hurt your eyes. One thing I noticed, I'm going to go back to real world experience again because I was at Albert Park yesterday. The light boards they use for the flag marshals, oh my goodness, they are bright.
Well, they have to be out there as we get our first taker then in the lane. As it's Paul Hadley. We're going 13 laps only on the soft tyres. Going to switch onto a medium compound tyre then. 4.3 seconds stationary in the box. You're always targeting around 4 seconds as a good pit stop. So 4.3, a little bit on the slower side, but Hadley back out on the medium. Now, this is definitely screaming two-stop strategy with that. 14 laps only. And you think, well, where am I going to go? You're probably targeting right now about 25 to 30 laps. Yeah, and then that leaves you with another 25 odd for the final stint, doesn't it? So he's going to have to try and do 25-25. I thought Danilo was coming in there, so it surprises me that he was the first to come in, considering how content he looked sitting in that group. But he must have been starting to feel a little bit of the edge going away, and thought, hey, I'll come in now rather than pushing it a lap too far and looping it and putting myself in the fence. Try and continue on with my good result, because he's still, pace-wise, looking pretty good. Well, you could also find an undercut on that group, which is just about to battle between Dempster and Northern Motta at this point, as there they are going through the southern loop. Motta is the one going to have to defend over at turn 4, because Dempster's going to get a run here. Both of them charging up the battery as they now fly on through to this right-hand bend. On the brakes they go. Just a little bit of a look to the inside. Dempster never truly alongside. It's both push a bit wide off the exit there. Motta just forcing his way back into position, and a big lock up behind from Fabrice Bernier, who's very quick in the middle sector of the lap. See, this group is going to start bunching up, and I think that the pit stop decision then from Paul Hadley was, yes, tyres, but also looking for a big undercut on these drivers, trying to get back past them. Almantha's closed up on this group very quickly too. He was about 2 seconds back, and he's now within 7/10 of the car ahead. So he's closing in rather quickly. So don't be surprised to see Almantha do something special in this group over the next little bit. Yeah, he certainly could be someone who makes a great amount of progress over the course of this race. And Jorge Almantha is the sort of driver, Club Mexico, who would absolutely love to have an incredible turn of pace as they go through. Now turn 2 once again. Looking a little closer, Thomas Viek and Fabrice Bernier. So the question will be, does Bernier have enough really to get through? The answer is no, because a little boost of power then from Thomas Viek pretty much covers off any hopes of making an overtake out on circuit. And what I am finding interesting is that these drivers doing 111s, Anthony Catt just in front, who's not having to deal with any battling, is also in the 111s. He's also on a medium tyre, so it surprises me that he doesn't have the same sort of pace. He thought he might have been a little bit quicker. At the front of the field, Fuller and Sanfilippo have continued on for another lap, so they're on to their 18th lap on this tyre set. We'll see if Thomas Viek on the softs, the only driver with soft tyres in this group, whether he comes in or he continues on. No, he's going to keep going. Yep, he's going to keep going. Now, one of the things that these drivers will be noting for is how long they can go on this set of tyres, because they know the longer that they go into a race like this, Jay, because there is no refueling in these cars. There's another little look through turn 1 from James Dempster. Is not going to be in a position to make the move through turn 2. Drivers who are looking at their stops know that it's easier the later in the race that you go on the tyres. Yeah, the reason being there's less fuel in the car, so you can push it a little bit harder. So that's why a lot of drivers will start with the harder tyre, go to the soft at the end of the race, because obviously less fuel in the car on softer tyres means a faster car. But if you can balance out your average speed throughout a stint, you negate that disadvantage later on anyway. So the drivers that are really good at it
are the ones that start with the softs and go to the harder tyre later on in the race, and the ones that maybe haven't quite got the confidence to start with the harder and go to the soft at the end. Not saying that these guys can't drive, but you can see a little bit of class difference in regards to pace at the moment with the guys on softs and the guys on hards.
Someone who's struggling right now is Walter Lux. He's dropped 2 positions over the last laps. We do have another driver jumping in. This should be Thomas Veek, and it is Thomas Veek then. 18 laps on the tyres and decides I've had enough. I'm going to jump on into the pit. So all of that is getting bottled up in the middle of that group. Couldn't find anything more out of them. And now is going to need a good pit stop here to move on forward. We'll also move on to the medium set. And look at that, that's a quick stop. That's a 3.9 second stop. He's going to be followed in behind into the pit by Nick Burke at this point. Another soft runner who's going to be switching onto the medium compound tyre.
It's a little bit of a slower stop for him, but not horrible. And look at that, Ben Fuller continues on.
Yep, so Ben Fuller has a really nice position in terms of his race. 17 seconds and a half his race lead at this point. And we'll just wait for Danilo on cue to dive down into the pits.
He was on the limiter a little bit early there too, Danilo, so he's probably cost himself maybe a tenth and a half. So Sanfilippo want to make sure that he's nails this pit stop because he has lost a tiny little bit of ground on the pit entry. Up in his box nicely onto the medium, onto the hard. He's gone hard. He's going for a 1 stop.
Yeah, so he would have to go almost 50 laps on this hard compound if he wants to make this one work all the way. And as he goes and takes the short exit, that's Ray Griffey-Owen, who is there just in front, who's gone through. So he's got Griffey-Owen, Simeon, Walter Lux that he's got to go through. I don't think he's come out in the right place for what he's needed there. So that's not ideal at all in the slightest. But staying out now is Ben Fuller, and he's got a huge margin, so he's not going to be eaten into too much by the way that he's going through car number 1. But he's just managing that race out there at the front. 20.7 seconds his lead right now as the race for 5th position continues on. Motta trying to break away from Dempster, but you've still got Bernier and Almantha in that group, and it's Almantha looking the more likely to strike.
Yeah, Almantha's pace over the last few laps has been absolutely brilliant, being the fastest in this group by a considerable margin. The only issue he's got is he hasn't quite got enough pace to be able to get a move done. We'll see if he can down the front straight, but Bernier looks like he might be the one to get a move done here. In saying that, he was very late on the DRS, and easy move done in the end there. Yeah, I think you're right. Bernier loses that spot. Almantha through. Now, if you are completely brave and potentially stupid, you can go and do turn 1 with no DRS. Now, whether that's an intelligent idea, I don't know, but it is possible. I don't think we'll see too many do that, though.
No, and the reason why is that you lose all the downforce on the rear wing, and it causes so much trouble for that rear balance if you can't hold it through. Speaking of which, into the pits comes the race leader. So Ben Fuller, 21.5 seconds he built that margin up to. I think he was trying to get himself an entire pit stop before he made the decision to come in. And now this is going to be interesting because he'll have the last box as he goes through. He will now look to go up on the jacks, off the jacks, and he will go back out on a second set of the soft compound tyre, which indicates to me that if he can push on that soft compound tyre again, he will switch to the medium for the final stint, and he is looking to try and use as much as he can. As now Anthony Catt comes in on the medium. Now that's a really interesting decision.
This is an interesting call, isn't it? Is he going to go to the hard and go 1 stop? Is he going to come back in and take a second set of mediums? Is he going to go hard, soft, so that he can, another set of mediums. The medium, soft, I'm going to guess. Now, interesting, Danilo Sanfilippo has lost a heap of ground somewhere. I need to go back and try and find out what's happened because he's gone nowhere.
He has gone nowhere, and that is no good at all in terms of what he's looking for. And he's had an off. In fact, the off has come at turn 11 out on track. A very weird place to have it, just out of Lukey. And the issue he had is he got caught in the dirty air and he just lost the back end of the car.
Yeah, I just found it. It's this is on his out lap too, so just caught in that pack that we saw him almost get involved in. And yeah, dirty air just looping the car around, probably not quite up to temperature, and He's lucky to have not put it in the fence, but that's been enough to lose what was a 12-second difference to what's that now. I can't quite add up, math's not working, but well, I can work it out. It's 28 seconds now because Ben Fuller's back in the lead.
You could argue as well there, Jay, with the updates over the course of the brand new iRacing build, he's fortunate that gravel is a little bit more stoppy now.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably thankful that there's been that slight adjustment as here's Ben Fuller taking the lead back down the front straight. Coming out in the perfect position, DRS available, and through he goes.
This is as easy as it gets on Marcel Fassbender, a set of fresh soft tyres compared to the older hard tyres, and thank you very much, he goes through. Ben Fuller is not only quick, but he is very good at saving those soft tyres, it seems, over the course of racing today, and it is really putting him into a great position. And on his current run, you're looking at someone here who is looking at maybe 20 per lap on a set of soft tyres, setting up for a 30-lap stint on the medium to end the race.
New fastest lap just there for Ben Fuller, a 1:07. First flying lap on his new set of tyres, and that is just absolutely heartbreaking for the field to see.
Yeah, it's a statement, that much that we certainly know at this moment in time. It is a complete statement as they drive on forward here at Phillip Island. Lap 24 here of 69. Ben Fuller, who has already made a pit stop today, is ahead of the likes of Marcel Fassbender at this point in time. You do, though, have this battle on screen. Northern Motta, Jorge Almanza and James Dempster, with Fabrice Bernier holding on to the back behind, trying to stay in range with this group. Now, all of these drivers, all four of them right now, are sitting very, very comfortably on the hard compound tyre. So they know that in this race, what they want to do is work with that hard tyre and try and get through and do as much as they can here on this hard tyre to lead themselves with the optimal tyre to finish this race. It is a one-stop versus two-stop day, and I think most of the drivers decided to go for a one-stop, which isn't paying off for them right now, but maybe later on in the race, it might be of beneficial use.
Just been sort of thinking while you were talking about that stuff there. I think one thing that a lot of drivers may not have factored into the one-stop versus two-stop is the relatively short pit lane that there is here at Phillip Island. It's not a very long pit lane. I mean, it is rather slow, but you're only in the lane for 20 seconds plus your pit stop time. So you're not losing a huge amount of ground in comparison to the likes of Spa or even VIR. We saw it was a short pit lane, but the track didn't work out with that strategy. But this track a lot shorter, a lot faster. I think the short pit lane is something that some drivers may not have considered, and it may start to factor in later on in the season when we go to other tracks with short pit lanes as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it could. And of course, the quicker and shorter that a pit lane is, the more aggressive drivers are going to be. Now, drivers will know that the pit lanes are pretty much put to an average speed so that it's fairly similar across everywhere that they go. But if it's a little bit shorter, then you got an opportunity. There is Darren Parker, though, who is now behind Danilo Sanfilippo, who has gone through. And there's Walter Lux, who will be next on the list for Danilo Sanfilippo to try and get through. So here's a little look at what happened to Walter Lux. It looked like he had an off on the brakes. He's just overcooked it a little bit too deep. And these drivers are going to have to be careful because they know 17 instant points, and then that's it. You're taking a trip down pit lane for a drive-through penalty.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few drivers close to that as well, because it is a track that can be easy to get incident points if you do a few whoopsies. And I'm just seeing in the lane, now this is surprising, Darren Parker is in on the hard tyre.
Not liked it. 25 laps only on the hard tyre, and that is a pretty not good statement, and it's going to go back out on a set of medium. So this indicates hard, medium, medium, and I wonder if this is just converting away from a one-stop to a two-stop strategy because the one-stop's just not working for him. He doesn't like the hard tyre.
Yeah, or that he's thought, hey, I'm not going to make any overtakes if I do the same as everyone else. Let's try something different. I've got nothing to lose. That could be the thinking going on there. But I'm not happy. One way or another, he wasn't happy with how things were going, whether it's that the tyre wasn't working with the current temperature or whether it was that he didn't think that the strategy was going to work in comparison to those around him. One way or another, he's come in And we'll see if it does pay off. He may then decide to go to a soft at the end, but he knows now that he can push a little bit harder on this stint for the next few laps.
Jay, would you be happy if you started in third and you found yourself all the way back in 13th coming into the stop?
Look, if you said I was starting in third, I'd be happy. I'd take that as a win before that. But look, I forget what it's like to start at the front of a race, so I'd take that. But yeah, for him, I think the strategy, the start definitely didn't help. I mean, he dropped back to 8th by the end of the first lap after starting third. But yeah, it's just been all downhill. So something's not quite right, whether it's the mindset or whether it's the way he set up the car or the strategy that he's gone for. It hasn't worked for him, and hopefully we'll see him progress back forward. But yeah, down 18 positions, and he hasn't had an incident, so he definitely won't be too impressed with how the day's gone.
He won't be too impressed as we take a look from the rear of Northern Motta here. Car number 16. The Brazilian then will be looking behind at the Mexican, Jorge Almanza, and thinking, well, I've been able to hold at the front of the field for a fairly good long time. And you can just notice as well, look how skinny the rear wing is there on the back. It just really shows how much these drivers are looking at their downforce packages and noting that they're not having to worry too much about that high downforce. So having that really skinny rear wing is going to be key. You'll see that wing's going to be a little bit larger for those who are going on to a more aggressively downforce package.
Yeah, very true. It's noticeable, probably not so much noticeable here because almost everyone's going to be running the lower downforce setup or the lower downforce package. But when we get to some other tracks, there'll be a few more options that drivers go for. Probably Red Bull Ring's probably the best example of where we'll go, that drivers love to try different aero packages. And we've seen in previous races that's probably a track that everyone works depending on driver style. As just seen, Jordan Gronkowski has come into the pits from third. Now this is very interesting.
Lap 28 then for Gronk to decide to come into the pit. This is a very important stop because he was dropping time on that hard compound tyre compared to Marcel Fassbender. Missed box is not going to help things either, so that's going to cost a couple seconds. 4.1 in the box, but look at the lane time coming through, 26.4. It's cost him a full 1.6 seconds.
Yep, pit stop time was better than Ben Fuller's, but that lane time, take the better pit stop time out, so it's pretty much a 2-second disadvantage for Gronkowski in the end, so that's disappointing for him. But it's now on the mediums, he can push a little bit harder, likely to go medium soft, I would think. Hard medium soft, I'm not sure, but this race has provided some strange things strategy-wise. We're not even halfway through yet, but I'm really scratching my head trying to work out what everyone's going to do for the last phase of the race. It's very enthralling. I'm loving the strategy games and the ice cream headache I'm getting trying to work it out.
The one thing I will say right now is that Ben Fuller, it took him 20 laps in the first stint to gain a margin of 20 seconds. We're 10 laps in, and he's pulled out nearly 18 seconds, 19 seconds on Marcel Fassbender already. It shows you how quickly that his new set of tyres is even better compared to the aging and wearing tyres that are out there. As we say that, in comes North. Oh, no, in doesn't come Northern Motta. He's in huge trouble. He's up on the bank trying to get that sorted, and somehow he gets away with it.
Just gets out of that. That's so lucky for him because that could have ended his race. Ended many a race up there, and usually in cars that aren't as fragile as these. So seeing two
Chapelone as well.
Yeah, Chapelone just lost a whole heap of ground.
Same corner, same moment, didn't get caught with anything, he just went. And you don't often see that. So there's two things to dissect. Oh, in the background again. That's Hadley.
Yeah, Hadley. So are we seeing the point now where the tyres are really starting to struggle? I mean, Hadley's come in 16 laps ago to put those...
How has he not caused an incident going back on? In fact, the car's gone straight on at Siberia, and it's Thomas Hinds who's in the barriers there, and he had to take some very heavy evasive action from the reversing Hadley there. So Thomas Hinds, he's never happy at the best of time when it's not gone well for him, but something like that he'll definitely be not happy. So let's dissect everything. First and foremost, boof, round it goes. Just a lack of grip there through the exit too early on the power and had to go through. Then there goes Chapelo trying to save it. Tank Slapper, he goes around. And then it'll be Hadley who will be the next one to keep an eye out on, because he will get through the first instance without too many issues as Thomas Hinds comes into the pits right now. But then everybody else, which becomes a huge point of contention. So Hadley is going to go through at a really awkward place to have a spin, by the way. The transfer between turns 4 and 6. It's called turn 5 out on circuit, and there isn't much of a turn there, but that's why it's there.
There's enough of a turn, isn't there? There's enough to throw you off, and here comes Hinds. Tell you what, this has been an interesting replay considering what we've seen throughout the race. And yeah, Hinds does the right thing and tries to avoid contact, comes in, and that's a damaged front wing. That's why he's brought it into the pits. He's come back out on a hard compound tyre as well. So he's gone medium hard, and he's going to hope that he can make it home from here. I'll tell you what, one positive to take away from this race so far. We haven't had any DNFs. I think this is the first time all season that we've gone almost halfway through a race without a DNF.
No, that is very true. We've seen a lot of attrition early on, and they don't have any fast repairs. So in comes Northern Motta then to make a pit stop. Well, I don't blame him. He would have torched those hard compound tyres. In and out he will go. 4.5 seconds. Now that's big. Soft then you would expect to the end. Motta converting to a 2-stop late.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right thing to do considering he had no choice but to come in. So I think soft from here is probably the right call. I mean, if you go medium, what do you achieve? Are you going to make it? Go soft, well, you know, you've committed to 2 stops, but you're going to be able to push a little bit harder. And 16 lap stints, that gets him pretty much close to it. So what is it, 18 lap stints?
Yeah.
So he's pretty right.
Now, consider with Danilo Sanfilippo, he had that escape into the gravel, and look at the gap he's got over Jordan Gronkowski in this race. That is a margin right now of 8 seconds overall. You think on top of that, there's an Anthony Cat in the middle who's made a stop. Anthony Cat's been a big gainer over the course of these pit stops, as look how close goes Danilo Sanfilippo compared to Paulo Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan there was probably worried looking in his mirrors about what Sanfilippo was going to do there, but they don't make contact. They don't have an issue. They've got through the other side. Sanfilippo has another look, as we've just seen Connor Pooler has brought the car into the pits. And he will go from hard to, what's he going to do? Hasn't stopped yet. Here we go. I'm going to guess.
Soft.
Okay. It hadn't popped up for me. You beat me to it. So yeah, hard to soft. So guessing the guys on hards, if they come in now, are going to go soft to the end, which makes sense in regards to how many laps are left in the race. If they're going to go hard medium, they'll probably come in the next 8 laps, and then if they're going to go 1 stop hard soft, they'll come in with about 20 laps to go, I would guess.
Just looking at the times here, Jordan Gronkowski is doing 1:08.5s at this moment. Marcel Fassbender is currently stuck doing 1:10.6s at the moment, still out there on the hard tyre. There's no doubt that Marcel Fassbender is going to lose a lot of ground by staying out as long as he has, 34 laps. Question's going to be whether he's just trying to save an entire pit stop, so saving himself an extra 25 seconds out there on circuit as a change of position. Then Brice Simeon will lose out then compared to Thomas Wieck. First time we've really had a chance here, Jay, to talk about Brice Simeon and the way he's been racing today. Yeah,
one of those quiet achievers in the field, isn't he? Just gets out there, does a thing. Currently up 6 positions, started 18th, now in 12th, but was in 13th, obviously, but he's just content cruising around and keeping out of trouble and keeping it clean, which is often enough in these series to get yourself some good positions.
It very much is. Club France then for Brice Simeon, and he will be certainly hoping the number 20 car to do a little bit more. He's up 6 at this moment in time from 18th to 12th position, and he'll be looking for a few more places between now and the end of this race, as Connor Pooler's in the gravel at turn 2. So he's had a big off, and he's very nearly taken Ray Griffioen with him. In fact, it was contact with the Dutchman.
Interesting. So we're just talking about how had got through pretty much the race without too many incidents, and then right on cue there is one. Just said there's a little bit of contact here. That's a big lunge, and I don't think there was room for an overtake there.
I don't think there was either. And I think Konopulo was maybe chancing his arm quite a bit there with that attempt of a move. So it didn't quite pay off. It didn't quite work out. And so there'll be lots to think about. Now, here is Tobias Saal in 5th position at this moment in time. So this is a pretty important run. He's through on Fabrice Bernier on this lap. And Tobias Saal has been quietly going about his business, and he is just picking up place on place on place without anyone picking up too much attention. But the attention will be behind these two because, hello, welcome to the scene, Danilo Sanfilippo.
Yeah, and I think Danilo's going to make very, very quick work of this, and right on cue, there he goes. And no fight at all from Bernier, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tobias Saal goes, yeah, you can go through as well. Remembering, Tobias Saal is in 5th position. He started from the pit lane. That's an incredible drive.
Yeah, that's huge, actually, for Tobias. I didn't actually quite notice that. So the fact that he's able to go on and is still in 5th position, this is big. What's also big is the looming presence of Jordan Gronkowski, who's pulled his finger out and has decided, you know what, I'm going to start flying on these medium tyres compared to Danilo Sanfilippo, who's going to be in a stage of hurt in this race because he's out there on the hard compound tyre, pretty much taking the difficult stint. So this is where the two strategies are equalising. Look at the difference in terms of last lap times. 3 seconds a lap. Jordan Gronkowski's faster at this point.
Yeah, and compare that to Danilo. I can't pull up the graphic, but it was 8/10 difference to Danilo Sanfilippo on the previous lap. So he's well and truly flying at the moment. Only one car on track faster than Gronkowski at the moment, and it's the soft tyre runner of Ben Fuller,
who is, at this point, almost half a minute clear at the front of the field. He is in an island on his own. Here comes Gronkowski, getting past Fabrice Bernier, and Bernier, clearly with that setup, must be the most miserable driver in this field, seeing car after car overtake him on that Gardner Straight.
It's a comparison of that previous lap for Gronkowski to Sanfilippo, 1.3 seconds faster Gronkowski. So, remember, at the pit stops, what was Sanfilippo 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Gronkowski, maybe a bit more. So close that back plus more over the last little bit.
Certainly has, and now he'll have an eye on an overtake. Tobias Saal as well. Gronkowski trying to set up as many exits as he possibly can, but look how aggressive all of a sudden Danilo Sanfilippo's trying to be. The best defence is a good offence, and this is what he's trying to get to here on lap 38 of 69.
The only issue with a good offense, to use that as your defense, is it does leave you open to an overtake if you can't quite get a pass done. Right on cue, here comes Gronkowski side by side, move done. It's overtake. Oh no, this is gonna be messy here.
Well, they sort each other out,
Just.
and now here comes the chance. Gronk to the inside of Tobias Saal, and no arguments there. They're both going to make that move, but will Danilo try and fight back through 1 and 2? Here to get this done through the southern loop. He washes well out, but he's going to be okay. No, he's not. He's deep. He's far too deep, and he's going to be off the road. Danilo Sanfilippo's off for a second time in this race.
Wow, uncharacteristic mistake for Danilo Sanfilippo. And that's 2 uncharacteristic mistakes we've seen from him. So he'll continue on the fight. But all of that work he'd done to close that ground back up that he'd lost, all of that time that he'd lost, he's now got to try and find it once again. That's so heartbreaking for him.
It's a real hurt at this point, and he will know that he's got a long way to go to bring that car home in this race here at Phillip Island. It has been a hard-fought race so far, lap 39 of 69, and now you start thinking about, okay, those drivers who are out there who are just keeping themselves out of trouble, they may just get a really strong result out of this. Fabrice Bernier comes to mind, Tobias Saal as well. We'll take another look on board. So here's the first indicator that he's not going to be nice through turn 2. Look at how the car just understeers through the opening corner. He hits the brakes, he tries to turn it in 6th, 5th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. No, it's not turning, it's just understeer. It's pure understeer on the hard tyre.
Surprising, isn't it? I'm a little shocked that he's had so many issues with the tyre there, but it's uncharacteristic, as we said, but these things happen. Chiapellone in, goes from hard to medium. Walter Lux in. Will he go hard to medium or hard to soft? I think it'll... Oh, well, that's hurt his pit stop anyway, having to reverse, but I think this will be a medium, yes. I don't think
One
we'll see
stop.
Yeah, one stop. So we're going to see a few drivers come in for a late soft tyre. Gronkowski will be one, I would guess. Anthony Catt will be one. Thomas Veek will be one. Who else? Darren Parker. There are a few drivers that are going to go out there and push hard on softs right at the end. Ben Fuller, we know, is going to have to go either medium or hard. Probably going to be a medium to finish his run off, and it'll probably be in the next 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, that would be in the next couple of laps. You'd expect Ben Fuller maybe to think about coming down in, and look at his margin out there, 32.5 seconds, and just continuing out there to be fast and ferocious. And Ben Fuller knows that he has driven himself into a brilliant scenario out there. Just 19 laps on the soft. He could even extend it out a couple laps longer if he wants to, but he can't go 3 soft tyres in a row, otherwise he'll have to make another mandatory pit stop. That's the only issue that he's dealing with in his race here at Phillip Island. He has been in a class of 1 so far here today.
It's almost like a pro and am race, the way he's driven here, with him being the pro and everyone else in an am class. So he's just driven away from the field and currently has a 33-second lead. Plus he's made a pit stop, and those behind him in the next 3 positions have not stopped yet. So strategy-wise, it looks like Ben Fuller's made the right call, going with that soft tyre to start with and just blitzing away from the field.
Hadley puts on a second set of medium compound tyres. He'll be good to the end now from this point onwards. So after torching his set of mediums, he'll hope that this set is going to be a little bit better. Now into the pits comes another driver. How close are you going to be on the line? Mr. Fabrice Bernier. Pretty good, but this is the first real indicator of the hard runners. Expect Almantha and Dempster to maybe try and cover this off. Bernier here will have 28 laps. I'd expect the medium tyre to come on, really locking up the fronts, then trying to get that stop. That
was very close to ending in tears, wasn't it? Because he almost put it in that pit wall fence as well. So have a look how close this was.
Well, you're going to see this. That inside right is always going to be scary. And you look at that and you go, well, okay, that's never going to be ideal. And you're out there on track. We talk about it's a single track pit lane, which means you have to commit and not get caught behind anyone else. Now, here's Jordan Gronkowski, who is looking at James Dempster thinking, you've been out here all day long on that set of tyres. I've got a nice set of mediums here. I would quite like to get by, and I'm going to use this slingshot through the final corner. Dempster gets on the radio and says, you know what, go and have it. Moves over to the right-hand side. I'm not going to fight you for it. Thank you very much. Jordan Gronkowski through, up into 4th place once again.
Didn't gain a huge amount of time on that lap, but just enough to make sure it works. In comes Ben Fuller, though. This is important. What will Ben Fuller do? Is he going to go hard? Is he going to go medium? I'm guessing medium.
Yeah, so I'm expecting a medium tyre to finish off this race. He will have himself 27 laps to go and complete then. So he will go down to the final box in the pit lane, stop in his mark and get right up on the jacks. I thought he'd overshot that slightly. He's done so well. 4-second pit stop, and he gets the advantage as well, spending no time as he gets up to speed on the pit limiter. He'll be joined by Jason Green, who dives into the pit. So Ben Fuller is out and away again and will now conduct his final stint of the race. Jason Green right now, he's off and away and looking to get on flying. 14 seconds now, the race lead, with 1 stop still to serve for Marcel Fassbender.
And also Almantha as well needs to come in and make a stop. Dempster hasn't made a stop, and O'Regan also has not made a stop yet. So still 4 drivers that haven't stopped in this race, which is incredible to think. We're 43 laps in. We've seen some drivers come in for 2 sets of softs. They're still out there on the hards and haven't come in at all. This is Anthony Catt coming past Tobias Saal. It's through. So Catt now moves back into 6th. And Tobias Saal, well, he actually has to come in. I'm just tricking me because he's come in for that, or started in the pits. It's tricking me to say that he's made a pit stop, but obviously he hasn't.
Yeah, so he's not quite made a stop. So Tobias Saal, who started from the pit lane, will be technically credited of having made a pit stop, just he never came in for it. He just came out of one. So that's the work that he's got to do. And still yet to make a pit stop right now, Marcel Fassbender. Now, he's got 13 seconds, over Jorge Almanza, but that's not his race right now. His race is car 15, Jordan Gronkowski. That is a gap right now of 22 seconds. And crucially, if Marcel Fassbender comes in, makes a stop and comes out, he'll be about 3 seconds behind, but he'll have the best tyres out of everyone in the field. As now into the pits then comes another driver looking to make a stop. I'd expect that might be Almanza who's come in then to go through, and it is the Mexican coming in from third position.
Is he able to go softs here? I think it might be 3 laps too soon to go softs, and that's why I think we haven't seen Fassbender in, and I think that's the same with Dempster and O'Regan. I think we're going to see 21 laps to go will be when we see those guys come in for softs. Darren Parker just gets passed by
Motta.
Yep, so Motta now back into the top 10.
But he'll have to make another stop because remember, he's on the Red Bull soft tyres and is converted to a 2-stop after the spin that he had in the race. So he's still got to bite one more bullet out there on circuit as he runs through the Miller corner. Jack Miller, one of the most impressive MotoGP riders out there, Jay, and someone who I think has himself a corner befitting of the name with the way that he rides.
100%. The brilliant rider in MotoGP. Of course, remember now he's racing in World Superbike. Am I right in that?
I'll have a look.
I don't remember. There's an Australian that's gone to World Superbike, and I can't remember who it is now. Maybe that's Remy Gardner has gone to World Superbike.
Yeah, Remy Gardner, because I think Jack's moved to the KTM.
Correct, and technically Remy Gardner's got a straight named after him. Technically.
He does.
I mean, it's the Gardner Straight. It's just named after his dad, of course.
Yeah.
I must say there's a good legacy of Australian riders, and their kids doing pretty well. I mean, you look at Mick Doohan's son Jack racing in Formula 2 and doing very, very well. And Remy Gardner doing very, very well now in World Superbike. Did very, very well in Moto 2.
Hugh Barter.
Hugh Barter's doing very, very well. I've known Hugh for a long time on iRacing. He's a very, very friendly kid. He's going to be a huge success, and of course we'll claim Liam Lawson. I mean, he's a Kiwi, but he's doing very, very well for himself too.
Well, the same way you try and claim Scott McLaughlin in IndyCar as Darren Parker just made his stop.
Look, we can't. I mean, I can claim Scott McLaughlin for other reasons. I mean, he's a former SimSpeed commentator. We can claim him.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, we absolutely can claim him. That is we will claim him 100%. It's doing incredibly well. But we'll see how more things go. Here comes the drive then from Jorge Almanza, looking for a pass on Northern Motta. This a move for the top 10 at this point in time. Now, which way are you going to go, left or right? Answer's right, because Motta's got nothing. Thank you very much. Almanza flies on by.
That's an easy overtake, and I don't think Motta decided there was much to fight with there. I mean, they're in a different race, aren't they? Almanza's... Oh, hello, did you just see that popped up? Fastest lap of the race on the medium tyre. Motha's in a different race. He's still going to come in for another set of tyres. Almanza's fueled and tired up to the end. Just tired to the end. They're all fueled to the end.
You're not wrong, though, Jay.
I mean, he is fueled to the end. They're all fueled to the end. It's just they haven't taken any in the pits. So I'm right, Admiral.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those interesting tracks, though, when it comes to fuel towards the end of the race, because as well, Jay, you're spending so much time at full throttle around this place.
Yeah, exactly right. It is a very, very high full throttle circuit. I mean,
that's a car off.
It's kind of cool as he just rejoins behind Kent Nielsen, and I'm going to guess that that's the same incident we've seen, what, 4 or 5 times already today?
Oh, almost. He does grab the grass, but he does very well to save it, actually. He's done really well to save it. So someone like Connor Pooler, who has seen pretty much all of what this Phillip Island circuit's had to offer, grabs the grass. He's done so well to keep that straight.
He's done a very good job to not turn that into a Tony Hawk grind, hasn't he? Comes Veek into the pits, and he's gone to the soft. Here we go, soft tyres, 22 laps to go.
Yeah, in the range now, and he'll come out just behind Lux and Parker. Parker's got through. Nick Burke losing a place then to Brees Simeon around the outside of turn 2. Brilliant stuff by Brees as he makes the pass, but Burke is going to come back here. Can Nick Burke find the pass on the outside here into Miller corner? Answer to that then is no. It's going to be held by Brees Simeon.
They fought that for a lot longer than probably should have happened there, did Burke, but couldn't quite get it done. And I'll admit, I've been wanting to say brick all day, but I've got an excuse because it was 6 o'clock in the morning when I was starting to look at that name. But I didn't say it wrong. You did. So I'm one up on you.
You're one up on me, and I'm sure he'll probably be the sort of driver who's tying a brick down to his accelerator, saying, right, okay, just tell me when I need to brake.
Yeah. Well done.
Well done indeed. Marcel Fassbender, by the way, still yet to come in here on his 48th lap of his race. He is due a pit stop, but he knows that when he pits, his race is about chase. In he comes right now, almost as if summoned. He dives down into the pits. He knows what his race is. It will be to catch back up to Jordan Gronkowski.
Let's say the pit stop comparison between he and Ben Fuller as well. So give us a bit of an idea on how good this stop is. Interesting too, Fastbender's using first gear down the lane. I've seen a few drivers use third gear because obviously it doesn't use as much battery, doesn't use as much fuel. Good stop. And he's lost out to Gronkowski. But, just see now he's behind James Dempster, who has not made a pit stop yet.
No, Dempster is due as well, and seeing Marcel Fassbender in the pits making that stop should be a big sign. Tobias Saal now will come in for his one and only pit stop then of the race. He should go out, yes, onto the soft. So a hard soft deal then from those drivers, and he'll come out behind Fabrice Bernier and Easton Chiapolone. He will come out behind. So Marcel Fassbender with some time to make up then in this race. He's got 7 seconds to chase as into the pits then comes Nick Burke blinking about.
And he last pitted. I can't see it on my graphic. It's decided to clear itself. But Ray Griffithon and also Kent Nielsen and Connor Pulliger are all coming in for soft tyres. Remember, Kent Nielsen came in on lap 3. Lap 1. In lap 1 to get a fresh nose cone because he had that incident early on.
Yeah, fresh front nose after a lap 1 incident. It's definitely not what he was expecting, but here comes Marcel Fassbender. Dempster again on the radio says, I'm not going to fight you for it, and well, why wouldn't you? Marcel Fassbender flying through the opening corner, very twitchy on the soft tyre, but he gets that sorted fantastically as now he will drive with everything he's got to chase down the old medium compound tyre that Jordan Gronkowski has at this moment in time. Just the 8 drivers left right now here, Jay, on the leading lap.
But the great but to put into that, all 23 starters still out on track. Regardless of how many are on the first lap, that are down a lap, the fact that everyone is still in the race, I think, is a huge positive to take away from this one. Take Ben Fuller out of it and have Gronkowski as P1. We've still got, I think, 19 cars within a lap. So Ben Fuller has been in a class of his own, but from Gronkowski back, it is still relatively close. I say Fassbender on this lap, he's gained 2.5 seconds. He is pushing incredibly hard. He's
rapid. He is rapid.
This is going to be a purple
4
lap.
seconds now. And look at this. It's a 106.9 from Marcel Fassbender. Takes the fastest lap away from Ben Fuller and shows that he has really got the pace. The only thing that's been away from Marcel Fassbender today is strategy out there overall. As Danilo Sanfilippo's just dropped a spot as well. Jorge Almanza at turn 1 making the move.
Yep, and that's newish mediums versus fairly old hards in comparison there. You can see also Motha in the pits. He is coming in for another set of soft tyres. Hit it on lap 30, so he's coming in on lap 52 to come in and get a final set of softs. So he made 22 laps work on those previous softs, so he's quite content to make them work. Now, I'm going to say James Dempster will come in this lap. I think this is the lap Dempster will come in. 52 laps at the end of this one on these hard tyres. I think that's enough.
I think it is as well. It's almost like he's praying for a safety car that will never come. And of course, because it's an iRacing official series, it never will. As he now goes around through the left. And yet he is going to be diving into the pits then and getting off of some very, very, I will say, scrub hard compound tyres, getting well slow off the line, being very cautious diving on in. And now how far will he drop back and how much tyre will he have to race back in terms of his final 17 laps of the race.
Anthony Catt, the driver in behind him, who pitted on lap 20 to put those mediums on. So,
or miss box.
Yep. Going to lose out.
Oh,
He's lost a spot to Anthony Catt. All in the pit lane time. But 2.5 seconds he lost from that.
This is the thing that people don't seem to get, is that there is a difference between braking property, being on the pit lane transfer, and being through. Oh, that's not what you want coming back out of the pits. Thomas Vig being aggro with Anthony Catt. Catt having none of that. As we say it, look at this. Marcel Fassbender all over Jordan Gronkowski. He's trying to push him through the corners. He's so slow. At this moment in time, he's trying to get everything, and you know what? He's going to dive out the way, get a new set of tyres, and try and conduct his race that way. Marcel Fassbender now will have second all to himself, and he probably won't be challenged between now and the end of this race. Gronkowski's race, all of a sudden, might be with the likes of Jorge Almanza and Danilo Sanfilippo for third.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's going to be with Danilo, because there goes Almanza. Gronkowski still isn't... There we go, he's up on the jacks. So Gronkowski will be able to close in on Sanfilippo. Sanfilippo on hard and old hard tyres. He's just been passed by Bernier. That leaves us with 3 drivers on the lead lap, and those front 3 have all pitted in the last 12 laps. So we're only going to see 3 drivers on the lead lap by the end of this race. That's incredible.
The last time I've ever seen a Formula gap that large, not in sim racing, but in racing terms, was probably that one race where Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone won by a minute. That is probably the only comparison I can find for Ben Fuller being that fast. And get this, it's bone dry this time, whereas Hamilton had to do it in the pouring wet conditions. He is on another stratosphere out there, and if this is the statement that he is sending to everyone else, this is a get on my level style drive.
This is going to be back to the drawing board for everyone else to try and work out what Ben Fuller's done. Going to be a lot of strategy games. I guess the positive is there's 4 weeks between now and the next race, so the drivers can go away and have a bit of a think, scratch their head, and go, well, how do we even compete with Ben Fuller? The one takeaway at the moment for Fassbender is he's now punching out incredibly good lap times, but Almanza, he's going to be feeling a little bit nervous. Is he going to go a lap down? Because there's Ben Fuller.
Yep, there is Ben Fuller, and Almanza will be next on the list. So he'll be looking at something here, trying to get as much as he can. Thomas Veek was on the radio just a moment ago as he was nearly rear-ended by Paul O'Regan out on track, because Veek is struggling a lot at this moment here in this race, and he's dropped the position now. He's back into 13th place, and this really hasn't been, in the last 10 laps, what Thomas Veek's been hoping for.
I just found that moment between them into MG. Have a look how close this gets. Very, very tight. And then on exit, they pulls up a little bit. But I think that was where Thomas Veek's like, hang on, just pull your jets a little bit. I'll let you through. Just do it in the right spot. And then obviously DRS down the front straight. No chance for Veek to compete with that. It was a little bit closer than they would have liked. I mean, these cars are pretty fragile. You don't want to end up having someone rear-end you in that situation.
Well, it's going to be disappointing right now for Easton Chiapalone, because here comes James Dempster, and look at who's queuing up behind for an overtake. Darren Parker and Paul O'Regan want to get through and gain those places. Chiapalone is seeing a top 10 vanish before his eyes.
Yeah, and he's on 17-lap-old mediums, and as we know, O'Regan and Dempster that just went through, they're on very, very new tyres, so he's going to really struggle. As you just see, Paul Hadley is coming in for another set of tyres. This will be a set of softs. So,
third stop.
Yeah, third stop for him. I think his strategy's just been sort of thrown off after the incidents he had earlier. Interesting that the end of the race we saw, the start of the race we saw all but 6 or 7 drivers on the hard tyre to start. At the end, we're seeing only 2 drivers on hard tyres at the moment, they being Sanfilippo and Hinz, and of course they both had a bit of an alternate strategy, one by choice and one by incident. So this is a real mixed up field in regards to tyres. One thing I'm loving is the hard tyre is a legitimate option now as a race tyre.
It is. Here, though, goes Darren Parker. Thank you very much. He will fly forward and take that position. Reagan on the outside now through. Behind that, though, Thomas Veek will lose out. Remember, Northern Motter's on a set of softs as well. He's going to be charging, hoping there's a top 10 on the horizon. He's not a million miles away.
Now, Mantha is about to lose a lap to Ben Fuller. There he is. Look at the gap. What's that? 3 seconds? 2 seconds? The Ben Fuller now is about to lap everyone but one car in the field.
And he has won a race before by an entire lap in Formula. You have to go back all the way in the SimSpeed archive to the final round of the Williams FW31's lifespan of racing, and that was over at Okayama. He won by an entire lap. He will almost do the same thing here. Almantha will pull over to the right-hand side and let him go. Very nearly getting tyres in the grass there was Jorge at that stage. And it's that which is going to be interesting, because Danilo Sanfilippo's lost out to Jordan Gronkowski, and Gronkowski in 8.4 on that last lap was 1.3 seconds quicker. Now I'm interested to see the gap between them right now with these laps to go. 5.2. Almantha's in trouble.
Yep, 1.5 seconds on the previous lap. There's still 12 laps to go, so there's still a lot of racing left in this one. So the fact that that gap is closing and closing quick, this is not done. Battle for 6th, 7th, 8th is also very, very heated at the moment. Bernier on older mediums, Sal and Cat on new softs, and obviously Dempster's closing in too. So we've got battles going on everywhere. This has been a very un-IGPT race, because we've seen in other races the battles have come and gone, and we've had a little bit of a break in the middle. We haven't had a chance to even catch our breath.
Tobias Saar with a mistake, and Anthony Cat around the outside of 11. Thank you very much. MG is such a tough corner, Jay. We haven't stated how tough of a corner it is, but it's like going outside, grabbing a golf ball, and just trying to roll it down the hill with backspin and say, stop it before it reaches the road.
Yeah, it's incredibly steep. I mean, I think the sim doesn't actually make you realize how steep that corner is in real life either. It's, I mean, it feels steep in sim, so you don't realize that it is such a heavy braking zone. In we'll talk Australian touring cars, they never ever go full foot to the floor with the brake, because you'll just lock up. It's the one corner you can push the brake pedal to the floor and you can pull it up. So it's incredible how much braking you need in that downhill section. We're about to see it on board here with James Dempsey. You look up through Lukey Heights, you see the sun, and then all of a sudden you see no sky, downhill. Great job there from Dempster to make sure he didn't make contact, because if he had taken the normal braking line he would with those newer tyres, I think he would have ran straight in the back of Tobias Saar.
I think he would have as well, and that would have been concerning. Now here comes Anthony Cat on Fabrice Bernier. This should be the easiest pass. Bernier is only doing 302 kilometers an hour by the time he's overtaken. Bernier, old tyres and a setup that doesn't like it. This isn't going to be ideal. Motta gets through on Paul O'Regan. That's a pass for 11th position, and the top 10 just sits there with Darren Parker, and he struggles off the exit because of the dirty air. The wake that's there costs him almost 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, almost a huge margin given away. I don't know where to watch. Or one thing we did talk about earlier, and I think that now drivers will be starting to stress about it, is the incident limit. 10 laps to go. We're going to see a few drivers that are probably sitting on that magic 16, only one minor mistake away from having to see a pit lane drive-through penalty. I think this race is not done. I think we're still going to see a big mix-up here.
Yeah, I think there's chances for that to happen. And on the front stretch, there is Jordan Gronkowski. It is 0.6 of a second. It is 0.4 of a second. What's it going to be out of the southern loop? It's currently down to 0.3 of a second. Every which way you look, Almantha's going to have the toughest job in the world. He holds on to it. He is really trying to hold on to it. Gronkowski, where are you going to find the past? Almantha is throwing everything forward right now, making sure he can hold on to this final spot on the podium here at the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island.
I think this is... I can't see how he holds on to this spot. There's no way he can hold on for 10 laps with new soft tyres coming up behind him from the guy that's one of the fastest in the field.
Favorites.
Yeah, 100%. He's been brilliant throughout the season so far. So, in saying that, Almantha's definitely been punching above his weight too. I think Almantha and Gronkowski are two of the drivers that we've probably been surprised by their pace throughout this series so far. So, looking forward to seeing the progress of these guys throughout the season.
Here comes Gronk to the inside, easy as that. Up to the podium goes Jordan Gronkowski, and Jorge Almantha will have to settle for fourth, at least at this moment in time, knowing that those drivers behind are going to be circling like sharks over the course of this race. Who is going to be able to chase down in the final stages of this one, as Paul O'Regan now makes a pass through, as we look at Anthony Catt in 6th position. He's trying to chase down Danilo Sanfilippo. He's just on pace to do so at this stage.
Half a second a lap will get him there with a lap to go. So this is right on, isn't it?
He's down a lap. That's the thing as well, you've got to remember, Jay. He's down a lap because he's a lap down on Ben Fuller.
Yeah, still 8 laps to go though. So yeah, I think you might be right. It'll be very close.
It will be close. We will note that up the top of Lukey Heights and back down the hill again. Anthony Catt will be worried about those behind as well, because James Dempster's looking really quick out there. Tobias Sal's holding on top of that. So those two drivers are looking very much ready to try and get themselves into play in the final stages of this race. It's been a great race up and down the field for many different reasons, but there is Tobias Sal on board. He's not a million miles away from James Dempster using the draft. He stayed within about 1/10 of a second out there, and the entire group gained 6, 7 and 8 tenths respectively on the hard tyres of Danilo Sanfilippo.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! We'll see in a second.
Oh no. That's Jorge Almantha, and it is from 4th position. And that is a huge shame for him out there on track. That would have been through at turn 4 and just off the, it's just straight on at turn 4 where it's gone wrong. So,
is this a failure?
Well, we'll see, because here's the issue that he's got. He'll go to turn 4. Now, once he tries to turn in, he will just not turn. I wonder if he's had a screen freeze, didn't know where he was on circuit, and decided, well, the safest thing for me is to pull that one into the pits. That is a huge shame with so little time remaining in the race.
That's heartbreaking, isn't it? Because he was doing a great job. He basically was sealed in 4th. That's the only thing that was stopping him from getting a 4th position, was for a failure. And we've gone 63 and a half laps before we see our first retirement in the race too.
There had to be one, and unfortunately it's Jorge Almantha. Darren Parker, though, not giving up hope on a top 10. Lost the position just a moment ago to Paul O'Regan. Is trying to gain that back. 3/10 quicker on the last lap. Still tried to find the pass. Not there at the moment, though, through the Miller corner and on the run to Siberia.
Yeah, the lap times that Parker's been doing have probably been a bit more consistent than O'Regan, but O'Regan's pace, when he's got it absolutely tuned in, is a lot better. So obviously the difference being softs versus mediums here too. Oh no, that's a big mistake. There goes the consistency I was just talking about.
Yeah, that consistency's gone now, and it's a shame for Darren Parker, because he was doing really well to stay with Paul O'Regan, but O'Regan right now holds the top 10. Now, Anthony Catt, that gap to Danilo Sanfilippo down to 2.4 seconds. He is getting there in time with 5 laps to go, but it's James Dempster now who might throw a spanner in the works, who might think he's quicker than both of these drivers and might think, you know what, I like this 6th position, but I love 4th.
The issue is going to be if Dempster fights too hard with Catt before they get to Sanfilippo, neither of them might get to Sanfilippo. So I think James Dempster has to play smart here tuck in behind Cat. Yeah, wait for the front straight. Wait for them both to close in enough ground on Sanfilippo. Then the three of them can fight together. But if these two fight too early, that'll give Sanfilippo a little bit of breathing room to not worry about the guys behind and may just be able to hold on to the spot. 4 laps to go now, and they cross the line. This is an enthralling battle.
It is. Anthony Cat started on the medium tyres. He always goes away that other drivers don't. James Dempster started 5th on the grid. He's had a really good run. Danilo Sanfilippo, the man from Palermo, trying to hold on as close as you can possibly get from James Dempster, but not enough as he heads through the opening section. And crucially, Anthony Cat, looking in the mirrors, matched only the time of Danilo Sanfilippo. So there goes a lap to chase that down.
Tobias Saal isn't out of this either. He's starting to close in. So
Yep.
this is interesting now. This is a true 4-car battle for 4th position. The top 3, I think, are well and truly safe because Sanfilippo is losing way too much ground to Gronkowski. But 4th on back is way up in the air, and I can't wait to see who holds on in this group. I think it's all about whether Sanfilippo can hold on as opposed to the other two actually getting past him.
I just had to blink at something because Northern Motta, starting the front stretch, was at least 10 car lengths behind Fabrice Bernier and got through at turn 1. That shows you how slow Bernier's car is on the straight. And Bernier might be looking behind at Paul O'Regan, thinking I might even lose 8th place here in this one. There is Danilo Sanfilippo at this current pace with 3 to go. He is safe, as we'll take a look. See how fast Northern Motta is compared to Bernier. Bernier's got nothing.
He's still, obviously, no battery as well, so he's trying to conserve some battery. But last lap by Sanfilippo and Cat, no real difference in time, 0.2 of a second. The gap is 2 seconds. If he can gain and get it to DRS range by midway through next lap, that'll give him 1 lap and 1 extra DRS zone to maybe make the pass. I don't know. I think Sanfilippo might just do enough to hold on, although he is starting to struggle with these tyres.
He is, and that's going to be crucial. James Dempster has hit the wall, so to speak, that 0.6 of a second margin where it gets really difficult to close down in a gap. And if he's been using his tyres up too much to get close, has he saved himself enough to attack the final stages of this race? I don't think he has. Anthony Cat has got it super trimmed out. Difference on the straight right now is about 10 kilometers an hour. That's not enough for James Dempster to really make any huge inroads here through turn 1, turn 2. They've got 2 laps to go to figure this out between them. But crucially enough, Anthony Cat's improving. Now, this is Danilo Sanfilippo.
I believe the exit and how shallow he is.
And yet, look, he is really scared about opening out that car as much as he can. He is really having to be very precise right now.
He's really nervous about making this tyre last. I don't know if he's got enough left in the tyre. He might be right on the limit. I mean, 48 laps on the tyre at the moment. He was the first runner to pit, basically, in the field to go from the soft to the hard. I don't know if he's got enough tyre left. They're going to get the white flag when they come up to the line now. Is there enough left in the race to get the tyre home?
He's got the gap. There's Barney the flag man, and they've put him an awfully long way away over there to try and give him the white flag to wave. You're going to have to squint if you're in the car to see him waving that white flag. But at least for the moment, the race on 4th, 5th, and 6th at this moment in time. This is the race at the end of this one. James Dempster's got to throw the kitchen sink at Anthony Cat, because he knows that he is going to be out of time. He's going to struggle with drive off the exit then of turn 2, the southern loop. They'll come up, and Dempster's questioning, is this the last lap? Yes, it is, my friend. Yes, it is. You're going to have to go for it, and he's going to go from a mile back, but he's not going to get that stop. And as such, he has no drive off the exit. That should settle that. Over at MG Corner, though, is Ben Fuller. He has put himself in a league of his own here tonight at Phillip Island. He will go to Hockenheim in a month with renewed confidence, knowing that he is well on his way to a season. Ben Fuller has pretty much made everyone redundant. He maroons everyone at Phillip Island and will win by almost a minute.
Gronkowski crosses the line in third, 1 lap down. Marcel Fassbender will be the next of the lead lap cars, the only other lead lap car across the line. Sanfilippo holds on from Cat and Dempster. No change of position in that group in the end. One battle still left in this race.
And it's between Walter Lux and Brice Simeon. This for 14th position. Walter Lux, 14, the magic number for him. If he can hold on through MG, then he is safe. But that is close going through. But this is a huge corner for Dirty Air. This left-hander, and Simeon knows it because he took 3 bites to try and get through. So Walter Lux will start 14th, wear the number 14 on his car, and finish 14th. Brice Simeon will have a gain of 3 on his own. And there is Marcel Fassbender, the longest wait probably this season for a second place.
Let's pick up the fastest lap of the race. Obviously no bonus points in this series, but hey, something to take away because you haven't really got many talking points after that race unless you're Ben Fuller. That was an incredible drive from him.
It was an incredible drive, and let's get ourselves then official classified results then here from the Phillip Island circuit in this incredible race that we've got. It did take a little while for Ben Fuller's name to come up with anyone else, and that was indicated by the way that he drove from Club Indiana tonight. He won by 56.6 seconds over Marcel Fassbender. That is light years in terms of racing speed. It will be Jordan Gronkowski who would finish off in third and continue his impressive start to the season, with Danilo Sanfilippo in fourth and Anthony Catt rounding out the top 5. It would be James Dempster in sixth, ahead of Tobias Sull. Northern Motta having to convert to a 2-stop strategy, still managed to come home in 8th, with Fabrice Bernier in 9th, struggling with a car that did not look good in top speed, and Paul O'Regan rounding out the top 10 in this field. Over the page then to 11th, and that would be Darren Parker who would finish off there ahead of Easton Chiapolone in 12th position. Thomas Veek would finish ahead of Walter Lux, with 14 being the magic number, with Brice Simeon 15th and Thomas Hinz taking a trip to the barriers today and also getting caught up on an incident in lap 1. He'd only managed 16th on his early start to the day. It'll be Nick Burke in 17th position, with Ray Griffioen in 8th. Jason Green and Paul Hadley would be the first of the drivers 2 laps down in 20th, leaving the last 3 drivers with races they'd forget. Kent Nielsen, Connor Pooler, who'd seen every single part of Phillip Island, and Jorge Almanza, a technical failure for him 8 laps from the end. Would be a real shame in terms of what he wanted out of today's racing action. But Jay, to the home of what is amazing racing, the resting place of one of the most legendary drivers that Formula One has ever seen in the late Jim Clark. This is the Hockenheimring, and in terms of a track, this is one of those few circuits that you look at every single time and go, I miss this circuit on the F1 calendar.
Exactly what I think most times that we come here, that I miss this circuit. It should be on the calendar every year, and unfortunately it's not in the real world calendar for 2023, but hey, we get it on the iRacing calendar, and I tell you what, that's a pretty good way to have the racing going on. Make sure you watch next round, same time for Europe as in 8:05 GMT, but if you're in Australia, you've got to get up a bit earlier. I don't know how my alarm's going to go. It's going to be an interesting week that week, Sparrow.
I hope not badly, otherwise we're not going to get a show, but we certainly will hope for that. But this then for the iRacing Formula A Grand Prix Tour, the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, round 3 in the books. So you can put in the back of the pocket, a prelude has been conducted. 3 different winners from the first 3 rounds of the championship. You've had Matteo Ugolotti, you've had Emil Bernstorff, and you've had Ben Fuller. This could go any number of ways, and the best bit is round 4 of the championship is a month away. These drivers will have a long time to prepare for the Hockenheimring, which will come up next. Thank you everyone who's been watching, and here from SimSpeed TV, Jay Kennedy, Jake Sperry. How do you stop Ben Fuller when he wins by nearly a minute? I suggest to every driver that's there, save the replay, watch like a hawk everything he did over the course of his laps, mark every gear, every top speed he had into corners, how much he broke, everything you could possibly find, because you need to find what he did and copy that if you have any chance of stopping him next time out. We'll see you a month from now when we head to Hockenheim.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.